Hiya, my name's Matt. I work for a company called Hoka One One, who are a running shoe brand you may or may not have heard of. I'm originally from Hampshire, and I used to run and do a lot of training with Rory and Daryl, guys from Race Coaching. But beginning of this year I moved up to the Lake District, and that's currently where I live and train. So I've probably been running since I was about 18 or 19. I'm 27 now. I think really I've only been taking running seriously for the past probably 3 years, 4 years maybe. When I say seriously, I mean sort of actually sort of thinking about how I train, how much I'm running, races that I'm targeting, just putting a bit more thought into it, really sort of the last 3-4 years. I think really just the thing that got me into it was just keep fit. Really, that was the initial idea. I was sort of trying to get fit at the time because I'd stopped playing football after college, and was just looking for a new sport really. So just went out and ran, and wasn't very good at it to start with. Still not very good at it now, to be honest. But it was just about getting out the door and just being active rather than just being sat on my arse at home. I I don't have there's no one particular race that I would say is my absolute favourite. There's races that I've really enjoyed and races that I definitely want to do again. Generally, the races I enjoy most are in the fells and the mountains. I tend to suit courses where there's a big long descent in them, as I'm a much better descender than I am a climber. So races like the Snowdon Mountain Race, where you go from Llanberis in Wales straight to the top of Mount Snowdon and then just turn around and bomb it back down, really suit me, and I really enjoy those. You've got like Skidder Fell Race up here in the lakes. That's a really fun one to do, very similar type of course. But pretty much any sort of fell or mountain race I'm going to enjoy. So that's definitely my favourite type of race. So a bit similar to the last question, there's no one race that I think, yeah, that's the one I've definitely got to do. But there's a few that I've got on my sort of bucket list that I'd definitely like to tick off fairly soon. The Ben Nevis Mountain Race is definitely one of them. That's up there. I'd really like to go and do that. There's also a few races in Europe, in the Alps, that I'd really like to go and do. You've got Sierre Zinal, which is in Switzerland, which is a really famous mountain race. That'd be an awesome one to go and do. There's the Mont Blanc Marathon, which is separate from the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc series. It's its own kind of mountain race. That'd be amazing. There's plus here in the Lake District, there's about 1 million fell races every summer that you can go and do, and there's I've done a lot this year, but there's a few ones that I'd really like to go and do. Some famous ones. Like the Buttermere Horseshoe, that'd be a great one to go and do. There's also the Wasdale Fell Race, which is sort of regarded as one of the most, if not the most difficult fell races or long distance fell races you can do. But there's loads really. But yeah, that's just a few. I would argue I don't really have any running achievements, to be honest. Um, yeah, probably finishing my first 100k race in New Zealand a few years back. That was a pretty special feeling. That felt quite good, crossing the finish line there, because I really wasn't sure if I was able to do that distance. My first race win was quite a nice feeling as well. That was last year at a trail half marathon. That was a pretty good feeling, but it was a fairly low key race, so I don't think I can really boast too much about that one, to be honest. So yeah, I would argue I haven't really achieved anything yet, so we'll see. Running shoe of choice, for the mountains and the trails, it would have to be the Evo Jaws. In fact, I'm going to go get those now, so Rory, you might need to edit a little bit of this out.
Hey guys, right, while Matt's gone to go get his trainers, just a really quick plug to say if you're enjoying our content, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. and also follow us on our other social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I think he's on his way back. So cheers, guys. See you later.
Back in the game. So, for the mountains and the trails, it is the Hoka One One Evo Jaws. So it's a very, very light, very low to the ground, really grippy, but reasonably well cushioned fell running shoe. So it's got a really precise fit to it. Great grip, like I said. Whether it's mud, wet rock, whatever, it'll just stick to it. It's very, very light as well, which is awesome for racing. So that's my shoe for the mountains and the fells. And for the roads, currently I'm running in the Hoka One One Rincon. So this is incredibly lightweight but incredibly highly cushioned. So it weighs 218 grams, which is lighter than a lot of racing flats, but it's designed to be a high cushion, high mileage shoe. So that's my go-to training shoe at the moment for the roads. And then for faster efforts on the roads and racing, and if the trails are dry enough, I've got the Tracer, which is incredibly light, really low to the ground. It's sort of like a road equivalent to the Evo Jaws that I spoke about first. Really good shoe. So that's my shoes that I like to train in. If there's any advice that I was to give to anyone starting out running or running for the first time, it would be don't do too much too fast. So I've worked in a lot of running shops over the years, and the number one thing that you hear people coming in and talking about is how they've just started out running, they've been doing it for 2-3 months, and they're absolutely loving it, and then they get an injury. And the reason they get an injury is they have just done too much too fast. So I always think of a way it was described to me that I think is a brilliant way to think about yourself when you're running, is that the body, if you imagine your body as a car, so your lungs and your heart are the engine of the car, and then your muscles, ligaments, tendons and joints are like the skeleton. Sorry, not the skeleton, the chassis of the car. And if you have an engine that's too big or too powerful for the chassis of the car, something's going to break. And what happens is when you first start running, your engine or your lungs and your heart, that improves much quicker than the chassis or the muscles and the joints and the bones do. So often people will get the engine will get too big for the chassis and they get an injury. So the number one thing is to just moderate yourself and don't do too much too fast. Well, it's got to be the Lake District. I absolutely love it up here. There's such a wide variety of routes and fells and mountains to go and train on. It's running such a huge part of life up here. There's always people you can go out running with. I actually probably do most of my running with other people now that I've moved up here, whereas before when I was living down south, I do a lot of my training and running on my own, whereas up here, especially in the summer, you can nearly always find somebody or a group to head out with, which is amazing. On the odd occasion when I do get to go there, Chamonix in the Alps is an awesome place to run and train. The trails are beautiful, the mountains are beautiful, and it's just a brilliant place to get out. But yeah, the Lake District would be my favourite place to train. Funniest, most embarrassing moment has literally, actually probably it happened to me this weekend just gone. So I did a race called the Westmoreland Trail Race, and it's unusual up here in that it's got a marked course. So fell races and mountain races don't often have a marked course. You just have checkpoints you have to hit in the right order. But this was a trail race, so it was advertised as a well-marked, marshalled course. So for once we didn't have to worry about where we were going too much. And a friend of mine, a guy from my running club, he was leading the race, and he was in a little group at the front with 3 of them, and then I was in 5th, and I was in another little group, and we could kind of see him up ahead, maybe a minute up on us, and we were kind of just, going along, and we basically went 2.5 miles off course. Should have turned right, didn't, just kept going, and not only did we go off course, but about the top 30 or 40 runners in the race all followed, because it was quite an open sort of trail, so you could see for miles. So everyone was we were all just following the leader, really. And at one point when we realised, we stopped and turned around, there was just a huge amount of runners that had all gone wrong. So we all sort of had to run back onto the course, and then the slower runners towards the back of the race were all sort of wondering, who the hell are these people that are overtaking me, and why are they overtaking me, and where have they come from? And I think somebody who was in about 40th something position ended up winning the race, and I really don't think they were expecting to win that one, so that was quite funny. It's got to be courtesy of my good friend Daryl, so it's got to be hills pay the bills. He loves that quote, and I think it's true. If you want to get fit, run hills. It's speed work in disguise, really. Yeah, hills really do pay the bills.